What?
Okay, and we're back.
No. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. Music by Byron leading us into our break, and we have nothing on our monitor. We'll talk to our producer, Steve, and nothing on the monitor. But Kyle Ball is here. Jesse Card is here. My name is Dan Mooney. Welcome to HESN Football Podcast number 22.
Part 2.
Yep, 22,
Part two.
after.
Actually, it's part 3. Part 3, because we did take a break before Kyle got back in here. Now, Kyle, we were interrupted before we got through the NCAFA power rankings, and we're going to start back again with Mosquito and some really exciting things happening in that division.
Mosquito Division's a great division. Players are starting to sort of come into their own. This week we saw Cornwall remain undefeated with a 40-8 win over the GS Raiders, who fell to number 9.
That's Gloucester South.
Yep, not Golden State. All right, so we had the number 2 Orleans Bengals top the number 8 North Gloucester Giants, 37-12, and the Cumberland Panthers move up to number 3 after a big win over the Generals, and a bit of a change to my power rankings formula. They won 34-0 at Millennium Field, and finally factoring in their 5th toughest schedule in the league, they moved up into a spot where their fans believe they should have been all year. We had, I believe as Eric Perrin said, here are the true power rankings if anyone's interested. But
Yeah. Gotta love it.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
yeah, I'm loving all the comments and the feedback.
For
I
sure.
mean, it's a first year kind of thing. So
Yeah,
we're
we should have Eric on the show. Eric, comment on the live chat right now if you're watching. If you want to be a guest, and you can enlighten us on your formula for the power rankings.
Yep.
We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, and I looked at what he posted last week, and they were pretty close to what I came up with.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we must be using something pretty similar.
Or great minds think alike.
That too.
Right.
We also saw Gatineau stun the Wolverines 18-8 to climb up to number 5. The Wolverines tumbled from number 3 to 6. And the Eagles shut out the Warriors 34-0 to hold on to the number 7 spot as teams around them continue to fall, but they managed to hold steady there.
How's the playoff picture looking in that division?
Playoff picture, it's going to be an interesting one. Cornwall and Orleans, they've sort of separated themselves from the pack. And then the next sort of tier would be Cumberland, Canada, Gatineau, and West Carleton.
But now, and I think I saw maybe a first draft of the playoff schedule coming out, but I can't say, I haven't opened it up yet, so I don't know. But if the East has to, if Cornwall has to play the Bengals to get out of the East to get to the championship, that's going to be a great semifinal or potentially quarterfinal matchup there.
Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel if the 2 top teams are playing each other in the quarterfinals or something.
Well, it's probably
Yep.
seeded, so
Yep.
we probably won't see that. But a lot of times they pit the West. You have to get out of the East, and you've got to face that other, strong East team to get to the championship. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an exciting time. 1 or 2 games left for each team in that division, so it's a fight to the finish.
Let's move up to the Pee Wee division, and this is where things start to get really interesting.
Yep, this is when teams start to sort of pass the ball a lot more. You look at a team like the Bell Warriors, they pass it about 40% of the time now, even with their strong running back, Tyler Beagent, I believe it is, in that backfield. But in the power rankings, the Riders, Bengals, and Warriors, they hold on to the top 3 spots. The Warriors win 32-0 over the Eagles, Bengals 64-6 over the Giants, and the Riders 61-40 over the Lions. Now, the Lions still move up a spot to number 6 due to them scoring 40 points on the tough Riders defense, who have only allowed just over 10 points a game prior to this. And the Lions offense is clicking with 155 points in their last 3 games.
Wow. That's pretty significant.
Big time.
Indeed.
Yeah, they're getting hot at the right time of the year, and they're ready for the playoffs.
Okay, so let's move up to the jewel in the NCAFA crown, and that's the Bantam division. Bantam, really, that division not having to worry about the OFA rules that say you can't play for two teams, because there really aren't two teams for that age group to play, 14 and 15.
It's not that there isn't the rule, there just isn't the competition.
That's
from
right.
high school.
Available to them for sure, with the junior programs being sort of cut out of the loop a couple of years back. But Bantam kids, the skill levels are really coming to the fore, especially at skill positions.
Yeah, I think you're right. Bantam is that beauty level, because all the players in the city are playing there. That's where you play football. So we get to see the complete level of talent that's available. The football is very good there at that level. The coaches seem to like coaching at that level because kids are coming out to practice. Whereas you hear some of the comments from midget coaches that it's tough getting a full team out for practice. So you don't see that at Bantam as much. So you're able to do a little bit more with those teams. The age group, it's kind of like a split between Pee Wee and Bantam because of the age changes this year. But this is definitely the most exciting level for me.
Yep.
And Kyle, in Bantam, the Cumberland Panthers are picking up where they left off after their OPFL crown this summer.
Right. They finished 8-0 on the season officially. Undefeated regular season. They played a game against the Orleans Bengals last Wednesday night, and that game was delayed a couple times due to some lighting failures, and then eventually the game was called, and Cumberland was up 20-0 at the start of the second quarter. And then they beat Bel Air in the final game, and now await the playoffs.
So is Cumberland essentially have that division wrapped up? Are they going to run into any hiccups along the way in the playoffs?
There's a couple teams that I hope can give them a run for their money, just so we get some exciting championship games and playoff games. But you look at some of the numbers from the Cumberland team. Christian Villa, 1,061 yards this year. Dante Spadaccini, 7.4 yards per carry throughout the season. Yeah. Justice Karate, 39 tackles. Nick DeCoste and Nate Marty, 4 sacks each. So they're playing a complete team game, and it's something beautiful to watch.
It is, and they even lost a few players to St. Pete's, St. Matt's. About 2 weeks ago, they lost Febreze, who's their chief running back. They haven't seemed to. They've got so much depth on that team that it hasn't really affected them. 39 tackles for Justice. It's not surprising. He was a force as a first-year 15-year-old in the OPFL for the Panthers this year. You got it. The only thing
and running back kicks too.
Running back kicks. He took one back against Guelph, which you were there for, I believe, that week. Justice is great. I imagine if there's anything right now that's going on in Justice's mind is that he wants to finish the season because he needs a break.
Yep.
That's a lot of contact for him over the last little while. But Christian,
I was going to get to that. As with most good teams, their best players have to be their best players, and Christian Veilleux has been one of the best players for the Cumberland Panthers all season.
I thought we were going to get through the whole year without someone saying their best players have to be their best players.
Well, my first visit, we got it out of the way.
Thank you.
Big players have to make big plays in big games.
Yeah, and Christian just looks so comfortable in the pocket, whether it's just looking for a receiver where he knows they're going to be, and he just launches the ball downfield in that perfect spiral that he can do.
He's a very exciting player to watch. I've had a few players this summer where I've talked to, and I'll say this is true for Christian too. I think the biggest obstacle he has to overcome is himself. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these gifted players that seem to be on another level to their peers, it's very difficult to stay humble and to be chasing your shadow, right? When you're the best player on your team, how do you continue to strive for excellence when you're already at the highest level on your team? You have to be looking beyond that. So Christian has to be looking and saying, okay, yes, I'm very good, but if I move up a division, I'm not very good. If I move up 2 divisions, I'm not very good. I need to keep working and getting better.
But that is the thing with him. I've seen him over the last couple of seasons playing, and not only has he grown physically, and he's getting more comfortable into this new body that keeps changing on him, but he stands in the pocket, like Kyle said, and he's got so much poise now, and he never had that 2 years ago. He was always scrambling out of the pocket and trying to throw the ball on the run. He does it better now, but He looks so much more comfortable standing back in the pocket. He knows exactly where everybody's supposed to be, and he's got the package. He's got his right arm, and he can get them the ball. That's the secret. And Veilleux's grown as a quarterback, grown as an athlete, and he's going to continue as he gets through the NCAFA ranks.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, before you talk about moving up a division, let's see how he does. Like, let's say the Panthers win the A Cup this year. Then let's see how they do against the Quebec team in the upcoming bowl game.
Well, yeah, I don't know if we have permission to talk about the bowl games yet, but we were in Montreal too last Thursday, I guess, and met with the what I say is the Bizarro World NCAFA board, and I think we're good to go, but we're holding off on announcing it. But yeah, we're gonna hopefully see the Pee Wee, Bantam, and Midget A Cup championship teams play the equivalent champion of the Quebec League and see where we
all in one day.
All in one day. It's going to be the Saturday before the Grey Cup, played at Carleton University. We don't have official word, so this is all kind of
it's all speculation at this
speculation right now. But I'm pretty sure that any issues in budgetary traveling or anything that maybe is holding this up a little bit, as soon as we say, you want to come play us or not? Stop with the excuses. Let's get you over here. And I'm sure we'll see a team when we start saying that. But I haven't said that yet.
Wow.
No, you haven't said that officially yet. You just said it, but you hadn't said it.
Right.
All right, quick couple more updates from the Bantam division. We had the Warriors. Their regular season is over. They were scheduled to play the Wolverines this weekend. They win by default, so they finished their record with 6-2. They started 5-0, but then lost their next two to Canada and Cumberland by a combined 56-8. So they started hot, but then they fizzled when the games start to matter and the big teams come into their house. But how do you think this team will do come the playoffs time?
I think they're going to do well. I really do. I think they're in a good position. I mean, at this point, you've got to stick with what's worked. You've got to throw a few wrinkles in there. I think the teams that struggle in the playoffs are the ones that accept that they have to adjust. I think if you're doing your homework and scouting teams, there's no reason why you can't. I mean, we're posting between 10 and 15 highlights every week online that are available. You get to see what teams are doing, and if you're doing your homework, then you should be able to make the proper adjustments. I think it's true at any level, but when you get into the playoffs, wouldn't you agree, Dan? It comes to coaching and adjustments.
Well, that and the fact, and yet you really have to go in loose. You can't go into the playoffs tight. Kids who have never been in this position before are probably going to be a little bit more antsy about playing in the playoffs, only because experience counts for so much in the postseason.
Right. Good point.
And now in the live chat that Mio was watching, we had a couple players asking about our predictions for the Bantam A Cup finals. We had Eric Victor say Knights and Cumberland. Eden Debula said the Panthers and Warriors. But I'm going to toss the third team in there. The Panthers against the Nepean Eagles. Yes, the Panthers have been dominant. They should get there. But Nepean, they have the second best defense in terms of points allowed per game. And Nepean has a 5-2 record. They've only lost to the Knights by 1 point and in week 1, and to the Panthers by 18 in week 3. And they've been unstoppable almost in the past 4 weeks.
It's interesting that you raised that. Do you think they're the only team that can really give Cumberland a run?
In their first game that they played against Cumberland, there were a couple issues, but I think they've improved enough to be able to give them a run in the playoffs.
Okay, let's move up to Midget.
All right, on to Midget. We had the Midget Showcase this past Monday, and the weather wasn't the best. We had some rainy weather and some elevated defensive plays held the offenses in check for most of the day.
Yeah.
The Giants beat the Knights 15-0. The Norsemen beat the Eagles 20-1, and the Riders beat the Bengals 35-0.
Yeah, I don't think there was any surprises in those scores. I think that there were lower scores than I expected.
Yep.
We were very disappointed. We had basically the HESN live stream set up and working, but the facility just wasn't on the level that we need for these types of broadcasts. Steve and I went out there the day before, set up the tent, got everything logistically set up. We were out there at about 7 o'clock getting ready, and we were able to rally and get it up and running and looking okay there. But then, just some fluke technical issues. We lost power.
Yeah. I mean, it's the beauty and the beast of the internet broadcasting is that you can do it from almost anywhere. We can set up in a field with nothing and actually create our own wireless internet, send it out there through our streaming service. We can get it going, but there's always things, weather conspiring, the accessibility. What I will say, I was very much impressed with the field itself. The field is beautiful.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that, again, I'm not a football guy, so I'm just saying I find it funny you put this beautiful field and just squeeze it between these houses in a road when there's nothing, I think that from now on when we're building centers for sports and whatever, we have to think about future communications, future media.
Steve is discussing Quinns Point Field
Right.
in Barrhaven,
So-
where the midget games, midget showcase was
Right.
played on Monday
So
or
when
Sunday.
you mean when the city's going to spend $3 million that it should think?
Right. And I know for us, and again, I'm only strictly speaking for us, to broadcast the football, you need to be up. I mean, Dan and, our head broadcaster was, what are you, crazy? We got to get those cameras way up. All we can do is get up as high as we can, so we're trying to do what we can. But I think if you're spending $3 million, what the heck is, an extra $10,000 to put a big stands over there with a media box, kind of like Millennium Field?
That's the difference between getting reelected or not.
Well,
Well,
it's youth sports, and what's I could argue what's bigger to a community than youth sports. It really is the fabric of the neighborhood.
And I'll tell you one thing that's not going to help you get reelected is having to resurface a field that you just resurfaced.
And Jesse is discussing Minto Field at the Nepean Sportsplex.
So apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody knows more about this than I do, but I believe that some permanent stands will be put in at Quinns Point with a press box, maybe a small, very rudimentary press box, but I hear that is the plan there. And the Sportsplex, of course, we've heard is going to be resurfaced, and we should have that one up and running for next fall. So
It's actually being changed as we speak.
is it okay?
Yes.
Yep.
So between Millennium in the east, the Nepean Sportsplex, which I have to say that has to be our flagship. That is a beautiful facility when it's running, and it has so much history for Ottawa football. All the championship games that have been played there. So next year we should have that. Of course, we have Lees Field with the Ottawa GGs, Carleton Ravens at MNP Park.
Lee's Field is called Bob Manette Field.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Okay.
Another tidbit of useless knowledge.
But there's something for people and players to petition your local council person to say, we'd like a little better facility here. It's the old story of it's so good for kids. Get them out of trouble, onto the playing field, get them in the game.
Yeah, we all know what sports have done for all of us, and what sports continues to do to our youth and our community.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great place. That's why we do what we do. We want to be here dealing with youth and helping promote them and making them excited to be playing in these leagues that we cover. I would say that the next HESN Live we're going to do is the championships. That's probably where we're going to be, and we're going to be in Millennium where we'll have the time to set up. Dan, as a longtime broadcaster, what sort of things can teams do to help you do your job to the best ability that you can?
First and foremost, rosters. Numerical rosters with positions. What do you need to call a game?
Names.
Names and numbers.
Yeah.
That's what you need to call a game. We can learn as much as we possibly can about each team, but if we don't have a list of names and numbers from the organizations themselves, we can't make your kids look as good as they possibly can look. This facility that we have here at HESN allows us to shine a spotlight on your kids. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And being on the interweb, the beauty of that is that family members or people all over the world who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to see these kids in action can do that right here on HESN. Become a member, $10 a month, $120 a year. Wow. And you can see all of this great stuff that's coming. And as we move on, things are going to get bigger and better with HESN. The sky is the limit, and we're filling a void left by the demise of community television in this country.
And if you are tuning into the podcast and play a different sport, we're excited to get out there and get all the sports involved with HESN. We want to broadcast basketball, volleyball. We have some work with tumblers out there right now, gymnastics. There's all kinds of things now that have met the future head on, and we want to get out there and provide a voice and vision for everybody's athletic endeavors out there.
Okay, playoff picture in midget. We're getting back to the power rankings here. Kyle, Norsemen look like they're the class of the league, and
They do.
they're going to stay there.
Two-time defending champs, but they have two very tough matchups to finish out their season. They play at the Giants at Bob Stevens, I believe, is the Giants field.
No, Giants is Jill.
Oh,
Jill.
Jill Julian, my
Donald
mistake.
Street.
You're right.
My
So-
old stomping grounds.
Okay, there you go.
So Norsemen have to travel to Jill Julian Friday the 13th, 8 p.m. Who knows? Could be some bad luck for the Norsemen there. And then they play at the Riders at Quinns Point on October 20th at 7:30. So they have a couple of tough games. I mean,
Yeah. No, they've got to finish strong, just like every team. I mean, it's one thing. Sometimes I feel going undefeated as a team and going in the playoffs is a disadvantage, a major disadvantage. So
is it because you have a big giant target on your back, or
there's that, and there's the fact that you haven't seen enough adversity.
Yep.
So as soon as you run into something where a team's matched up and they've figured a part of what you do out, and that's not working, but you're accustomed to that working, then people start to panic, and it's sometimes nice to get some close games, maybe even lose a couple during the season, just so you know what it feels like, and you're tested.
Yep. So by that regard, the Riders, the Giants, the Eagles, they've all faced some adversity, and maybe they might be able to give the Norsemen a ride for their money.
Right on.
Let's have a new champion this year.
Maybe in the midget division we'll have a new champion. Kyle Ball, thanks very much for coming in with your power rankings once again. Always interesting
Thanks a lot,
information.
Dan. Yep. Can't wait to hear some of the comments this week.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We're going to take another break and be back, folks, to talk about another level of football, your Ottawa Red Blacks, after the break.
Is melting, slipping and sliding, summer love. She's amber nectar, cooking her Epicurean delight. Nothing like it concentrates the mind. Eyes roll into the back of a pretty little head. She's jumping Jupiter. She's thermonuclear. Hot sun. Round by the carousel, click on chemicals, fireball. Nothing like it concentrates the mind. Eyes roll into the back of a pretty head. Slowly kicked in the
Welcome back to our HESN lunchroom. And back with Jesse Card. My name is Dan Mooney. Welcome to HESN Football Podcast number 22. Just really pleased to be along for the ride, and so happy to have you along for the ride as well. We're going to talk about the Ottawa Red Blacks in just a moment, but that ad that you just saw, pre-registration now available for our Madden 16, 17, or 18, yet to be determined, tournament. And if you fancy yourself a Madden aficionado, this is definitely something that you want to involve yourself in, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can still play as long as you get here for the finals.
Yeah.
One thing we do want to mention is that, we're open to suggestions. The last video game tournament I had, because I'm not the expert, but we could undertake it, was I had to rely on the audience of people giving me suggestions as they've been to all the tournaments. So give us your suggestions. If you like the format of the 2017 Madden, great. 2016, let us know, because all we can do is respond to what they want to play.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think maybe just to spend a couple of minutes on this, it's really exciting because in the behind the scenes, we've really been working to try to build a platform and an application where basically you can see that a tournament's available as a member with HESN, or if you don't want to be a member, you can just pay for the tournament itself. We'll figure out price points for that, but the really cool thing, and the way it's built to do is it's built to be a member, and what you can do is you can register on a unlimited amount of tournaments. So we might be doing NHL this winter. We'll probably do NBA around the spring. These are like real cash prizes that kids can win, and
maybe a golf one too.
A golf one too, yeah. I think maybe the coaches would be into that too.
Absolutely.
So this is really, it's a platform where you basically will be told who you're playing. The bracket will be set up, and we'll say you're playing this person, and you have this much time to play them. As administrators, we want you guys to figure that out. You can go to that player's house. You can invite each other online with the technology that allows you to do that now. It's up to you, but what we want to do is, like Ultimate Frisbee, we want you to govern yourselves.
Oh, here we go.
And we want to make sure that if anyone's kind of making issues, then there's the potential of just being disqualified altogether, and potentially from future ones. So at the end of the day, we're all big boys. We're all sports competitors. Let's get out there. Winner moves on, and it's a very exciting time, because what we can do without having to host a specific place, we can add a lot more players, which means the prizes go up and the stakes go up, and then we're going to actually try to broadcast the championship, maybe even the semifinals live.
That'll be a blast.
So
that'll be a blast to watch.
Don't miss out. We're going to cap the first one, because this is the first one. We're going to cap it at 100, and we're already at about 38
as far as pre-registration is concerned.
So get in there. Don't miss out, and help us build this platform out. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Speaking of you lose and you're out, the Ottawa Red Blacks find themselves in a bit of a race in the CFL's Eastern Division now with their 6th win, and it was a big win, Jesse. Down 25-6 in the fourth quarter, and they end up winning 30-25 out at BC Place.
It's huge. It's huge, and like the CFL, we see it's such a long season, and it's such a war of attrition that I don't think the Red Blacks are in a bad situation at all. I mean, if they can get into the playoffs and defeat what it looks like either the Hamilton Tiger Cats or the Toronto Argonauts, boom, right away you're one or two games away. So,
and the Tiger Cats really have turned things around since Kent Austin was fired by Kent Austin and brought June Jones in as the head coach, and he's really got the Tiger Cats playing some really good football. And with 2 games in hand on the Ottawa Red Blacks, if they win those 2 games, they're only a point back of the Red Blacks. So every game's so important now in the CFL as they get down to crunch time, and the Red Blacks scheduling is going to be a problem for them as well. They have 3 weeks off in the last 4 weeks of the season.
That is tough. I mean, Kyle mentioned that. What do you do? And you said stay loose, right? You got to stay loose going into the playoffs. But 3 weeks is a lot of time. it can work for their advantage in terms of scheming. If they know their opponents,
Get healthy again.
maybe get healthy, get a few guys back into the active roster. But it can also, rust can form pretty quickly as well. So I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking in that locker room right now. But it's going to be an exciting. It's going to be an exciting finish again.
It would be great to get some bodies healthy. I mean, Trevor Harris gets off the DL last week in BC. Just, picks up exactly where he left off, goes in, throws 3 touchdown passes, 275 yards passing, I believe, and he had a great night. In the great fourth quarter, let's just say.
Right.
The Red Blacks couldn't do much, just a couple of Brett Maher field goals going into the fourth quarter.
Right.
But came back huge. That offensive output is necessary for them if they're going to have any success down the road and defend their Grey Cup championship right here in Ottawa.
Now, do you think the pressure works in their favor? The fact that, at the end of the day, it's like the 100th Grey Cup when the Argos were hosting it and they actually went in and won it. Does that work in their favor to know, geez, this doesn't happen that often where we're actually hosting the Grey Cup and we've got a team that won it last year? We could pull this off. Does this help them or hurt them, Dan?
I think the layoff might be the thing that makes or breaks them.
Okay.
3 weeks off in the final 4 of the regular season, and then they could get another bye if they win the East.
Right.
So that's a lot of time off, and I think that is what will win out.
Right.
Whether or not they're able to survive, but it'd be great to get everybody healthy and go in to the Eastern Final. Let's say they win the East, they got a bye into the East Final and host it once again. Will they be ready?
Electrifying environment here in Ottawa.
It was last year, and 2 years ago too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The catch.
Greg Ellingson. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
And Burris almost got sacked on that play, and he was able to get out.
Yeah.
And then he found Ellingson down the sidelines.
How about the interception?
That's right.
The play before.
That's right. Yeah, Arnaud Gascon. Yeah.
Now, that's what's so great about football is that every play, you're just one play away. You think about that famous Al Pacino speech from the Any Given Sunday. You're 1 second too slow.
Woman.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, man. We got the A-Cups, the NCAFA championships. We've got potentially the bowl games if they're up to it, and they got the Stones. And then we've got the Grey Cup here in Ottawa. What more do you want as a football fan?
That's right.
We're back, baby. Ottawa's back.
Oh, they've been back for a while. Had a tough first year, but their second year, 12-6, and they go to the Grey Cup and lose to Edmonton. Let's talk about this crossover thing.
Okay.
It would appear that there's going to be another crossover team from the West coming to the East to play.
Is that Winnipeg probably at this point?
I'm thinking it might even be Edmonton.
Okay. Which is surprising because they looked like the strongest team maybe the first
7 weeks.
7
they were
or 8.
7-0.
Yeah, right. So and Ottawa lost a few close ones early on in the summer to them.
A few.
A few. Yeah.
They lost about 5 games by a total of 19 points.
Right. It just goes. And Calgary, the first opening game was a tie.
The same as a year ago.
Right. That's right. So that just goes to show you the CFL. A lot of people nag and complain about the CFL, and I don't think they're true football fans that do that because, I played my whole life and I could be watching any type of football. If it's on TV, I'll watch it. It'll be, it could be European football, it could be arena football, CFL, doesn't matter. You can't tell me that in the playoffs CFL isn't the best brand of football there is, really. It's exciting. You get these rivalries, and the teams have seen and played each other so much throughout the year. There's a lot going on there, and this year won't be any different.
No, it won't. 65 yards wide, 110 yards long, with 20-yard end zones and an extra guy.
Yeah.
It's fun. 3-down football is fun, and it really puts the onus on the offenses to beat the defenses. They got two. You can't go 2 and out too often and succeed in the Canadian Football League in the postseason.
That's right. That's right. Well, what do you think, Dan? Is you want to end it there, or?
I think that's a pretty good spot to end it. My first podcast, and it's been fun. Don't forget, folks, pre-registration is open for our Madden tournament that we're going to hold at some point in the very, very near future. Maybe the tail end of this year or early in 2018. Well, it's only appropriate if we're using Madden 18. So might be the impetus to go out and buy the game and get some practice in. But pre-register for our tournament. We want to have you on board. And like Steve said earlier, we want your feedback as well. Let us know what you think we need to do to make this tournament a success. And who knows, maybe like Jesse said, do a basketball, do FIFA, even have a golf one for sure.
There's going to be some exciting stuff coming up. And I'll also say check out the HESN original blog series, Coaches in the Community, where we're featuring coaches from all over Ottawa and all the great work they're doing. If you know of a coach that you think we should feature, please write us in. Either just get in contact with us on any one of the social media platforms or at the website, hesn.co. Like Dan said, pre-registration for the Madden tournament is at hesn.co/Madden. You'll be seeing some commercials go out about that. And until next time. Sorry, I'm stepping on his toes here.
For Jesse Cart, Kyle Ball, Steve Johnson, who is our own Robin Quivers, and Mia on our live chat. I'm Dan Mooney. Thanks so much for joining us for HESN Football Podcast number 22. Thanks so much for the company. Until we meet again.